Okay, so as I mentioned, this will be graded for correct answers, and I will let you, as a class, ask 5 questions. So if you have a specific one you want me to go over, just raise your hand and tell me what number it is, even though they're not in any order. Tyler.
6.
Okay. This one. Yes, this is probably the hardest one on the page, right? Let me zoom in. Okay, so I'm using a larger copy just so my handwriting's a little bit clearer. On your paper, there's actually more room like underneath it, so make sure to have the work, but you might want to put it underneath here. Okay, so let's look at the problem. It says the length of segment AB, this segment right here, is 8x plus 2, and the length of segment BC is 7x plus 5, so labeling that there. It also says the perimeter of the isosceles, that's important there, triangle is 63 inches. So perimeter is 63 inches. What is the length of the base of the triangle? So we're going to try to find this length right here. We're going to identify it as y, which we can use in an equation if needed. So for perimeter, it'll be this plus this equals 63, but we can't solve for 2 variables at one time. So what we're going to do is set these two equal to each other to solve for x. Since it's isosceles and it shows us that these two are the same length, we can set those equal. So 8x plus 2 equals 7x plus 5. And then I'll go through and solve it. Okay, now I have x equals 3. Okay, so now I need to continue solving to find this base. I'm going to add these up and put them equal to 63. And now that I know that x equals 3, I can plug in 3 for x. Then I'll continue simplifying the numbers part of everything. If I add these 4 numbers up, I will get 52 plus y equals 63. Subtract 52 from both sides and you'll get y equals 11. So segment AC, the base, is 11 inches. So you need to have the work and the answer, of course. Okay, so now you can raise your hand and choose another question that you want me to go over. You can raise your hand twice if you want. Or I could collect them now. Raise your hand. Did you have one? Jamarius? 16. Yes, 16. It's simple and hard at the same time. On the quarterly assessment, it says that you'll have to identify a figure based on the number of sides. I specifically chose the one that I personally always forget, and you might too. If it was 6 sides, I would know it's a hexagon. If it was 8 sides, I know it was an octagon. If it was 5, I know it's a pentagon. But the 7-side one, I always forget. So the 7-side one is heptagon. Go ahead, Maya, which one? 8. This one here. Okay, so for this one, it's a multi-select, which is challenging in itself. Before I go through the answer choices, I'm going to label everything over here. So that way I can just choose the correct ones. So angle 2, yes, we did this one yesterday. This makes a linear pair, so this has to be 56 degrees. You don't have it with you, I collected it. I did. So fill this in, because you'll need the work for this one. Okay, Okay, so I went in and filled in all the angles. You could do this based on angle relationships, or you could just recognize the fact that all the acute angles are going to be 56 degrees and all the obtuse angles will be 124. Then you can go through the answer choices and just circle the ones that are correct. Okay, so that's 3. You get 2 more. Luke. It's about time somebody asked about that one. Yes, volume of a sphere is something we've been working on. However, this says in terms of pi, which we've worked on a little bit, but it does kind of like trip people up sometimes. So the equation for volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. Oh, sorry. There you go. They show us the radius is 6, so we'll plug that into the equation. So in terms of pi, that means we're not going to multiply this by pi, or we're not going to multiply it by 3.14. We're just going to calculate everything else. So 4/3, 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. So at this point, what you have to do is 4/3 times 216. So you'd use a calculator. There's a couple different ways you could put this in. You could do 4 divided by 3 to get the decimal, and then multiply that by 216 to get that. Or you could do 216 times 4 and then divide by 3, and you get the same answer. So the volume here is 288 pi, and that's how you'd write your answer. Now, if it wanted like the decimal, you'd then multiply 288 by 3.14 or by hitting the pi button on the calculator. Okay, what's that? So this is the answer here.
Oh, so y'all.
Okay, so that's 4. One more. Maya. 7. Okay. So for number 7, we have 2 vertical angles. We can set those expressions equal to each other to solve for x. So 7x plus 49 plus 2x plus, or equals 2x plus 94. I'm solving for x here. Make sure to have the work done as well. I hear you guys. Yanni, get the work down. X equals 9. So right away I can choose this. And that means B and C aren't correct, but I also need to consider answer D, E, and F. Is angle 1 equal to angle 2? Yes, because they're vertical angles. Is angle 1 112 degrees? Well, I can plug in the 9, and yes, it does solve to 112 degrees. So that is correct. And is angle 2 equal to 112? Well, they're vertical angles, so they should be the same measure, but you could also plug in x and then see if it solves, and it does solve to 112. That's it. Okay, so make sure your name's on it and pass it up.